Hey class, this is Mrs. Cornett, and I want to teach you about how to find the X and Y intercepts if you're given a graph and if you're given just the equation without a graph. So before I show you an example, I want to make sure that you understand what intercepts are and where they're located and how can you tell the difference between the two. The first one I want to talk about is called the X-intercept. And it's the one that I have here with the green dot. It is the ordered pair that sits right on the x-axis. So it's an ordered pair, like I said, but it's always x comma 0. So whatever it is on the x coordinate, the y will always be 0 because of its location, because it's sitting on the x-axis. Okay, the y-intercept is what I have in the red dot. It's very similar to the x-intercept, except the y-intercept sits on the y-axis, and its ordered pair is always 0 comma y. So wherever it is on the y-axis, it's 0 comma and then that number. And so you can visually find these intercepts when you're looking at a coordinate grid, and I'm going to show you how to find them just using the equation. First, let's take a look at 13. Here in this red circle is the x-intercept, and the green is the y-intercept. And so just by looking at this grid, we can say the x-intercept is -2, 0, and the y-intercept is 0, 4. Next, I'm going to put a red around the x-intercept and then a green around the y-intercept, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're just reading the ordered pair straight from the graph. The x-intercept is at +3, 0. The y-intercept is at 0, +4. Take a look at 15. There are 2 x-intercepts that I have circled in red, and then 1 y-intercept. So the x-intercept, we have one at -1, 0, another one at +1, 0, and then our y-intercept is at 0, +1. 16 is just like 15. There's 2 x-intercepts and then a y-intercept. Just be careful on 16 because the tick marks are numbered differently than the previous 3. And so the 2 x-intercepts for 16 will be -4, 0 and +4, 0. And for the y-intercept, that is sitting at 0, +16. Okay, so look at these next few examples. It says find the x and y-intercept and sketch the graph of the equation. I did not put a coordinate grid on this slide, so we're not going to be graphing, but we're just going to go through the process of finding those 2 ordered pairs. And then if you did have to graph, which I believe you do on WebAssign, you would just take those 2 ordered pairs, both of the intercepts, and plot them on the graph and connect with a straight line. Okay, so take a look at 17. What we know about the x-intercept is that it's x comma 0. It's in that format. And so we're going to use that format to our advantage, knowing that y will always have the value of 0. So in this equation, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Instead of y equals 1/2 x minus 1, I'm going to write 0 equals 1/2 x minus 1, and then simply solve for x. Add 1 to both sides. This is 1 equals 1/2 x. Divide both sides by the fraction 1/2. Now remember, when you divide by a fraction, it's the same as if you multiplied by the reciprocal. So this is 1 times 2/1, which is 2. And so the x-intercept for 17 is 2 comma 0. Okay, now that we have that information, let's talk about how to find the y-intercept. The y-intercept is always in the format 0 comma y, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use that information that x is always 0 when you're finding the y-intercept and plug it into the equation. So it's y equals 1/2 times 0 minus 1. Well, 1/2 times 0 is 0. And so it looks like y will just be -1, but the ordered pair that you need to type in will be 0, -1, and that's your y-intercept. Let's do the same thing. I'm going to skip 18 because it's really almost identical to 17. I'm going to go on to 19. So first, if we find the x-intercept, it's always in the ordered pair x, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in 0 where the y variable's at. So this is 2x plus 0 equals -2. That simplifies to 2x equals -2. Divide both sides by 2, and x equals -1. So the ordered pair, that is the x-intercept, is -1, 0. Okay, and now to find the y-intercept, I'm still on 19, even though I'm writing directly under number 20. The y-intercept is always in the format of 0y. And so now we'll plug in the value of 0 for x. This will be 2 times 0 plus y equals -2. 2 times 0 is 0, so we're just left with y equals -2. Your answer needs to go back as an ordered pair. So the answer is 0, -2. And let me show you one more example. We're going to find the y and x intercepts for number 20, which is 3x minus 2y equals 1. Okay, review this with me. The x-intercept is in what format? It's always x, 0. And so we'll substitute 0 for the y. 3x minus 2 times 0 equals 1. That simplifies to 3x equals 1. Divide both sides by 3, and x equals 1/3. But your answer has to be in the ordered pair, so your answer is 1/3, 0. Well, that's part 1 of your answer. Part 2 of your answer is to find the y-intercept. It is always in the format 0, y. So we'll go back up to the equation in number 20. This will be 3 times 0 minus 2y equals 1. That simplifies to -2y equals 1. Divide both sides by -2, and y equals, you can bring that negative just out front. Y equals -1/2. Again, your answer has to be in the format of an ordered pair, so your final answer is 0, -1/2. Okay, I hope that helps you as you are finding your x and y intercepts, but please let me know if something didn't make sense or if you have any questions about your homework.